Hi, I'm Shannon Symonds, and I'm reading my draft of Booked for Murder. This isn't the final, but it's just me editing while you listen. So, Chapter 7, Booked for Murder. Look who's fishing now. The sun was rising when Ivy finished her sun salutations on the deck of the cottage. Judy watched her head cocked in confusion. While meditating music played, it was time to do the final tree pose. She balanced on her left leg and brought her right bare foot up to her knee while making prayer hands. She closed her eyes and lost her balance, touching the ground with her right foot again to regain it. Judy whined. She opened one eye. I know, it's a work in progress. Today I stand on my head and do core exercises. She put her head down on the deck as close to the wall as she could get. She kicked her feet up while bells tinkled and the music played. She was standing on her head, leaning on the cabin wall with her feet, when her core muscles gave out and she listed to the left, overcorrected to the right, and then went down like a sack of potatoes. See? Much better than the last time. She rolled up the yoga mat she borrowed from Aggie and opened the French doors to her bedroom. She was grateful for the fully equipped cottage, but looking forward to buying a few things to make this man cave a little. Aggie had asked her on her first day in Balefire what her favorite color was. She said mint green, like Crest toothpaste or buttermints. Within a few days, Aggie showed up with a mint green Afghan for Ivy's queen-size bed. Ivy smoothed her new Afghan bedspread. It was time to take a shower. She shut the door to the bathroom and pulled the scrunchie out of her bedhead hair. It kept its form sticking out sideways and in a knot where the bun had been. Yesterday's mascara had melted into 2 dark circles under her eyes. When she locked the door, Judy scratched it and whined until she opened it. Okay, you can come in because you're a girl, but no one else can ever see me looking like this. Where's your mother? Xander? Judy yawned. I hope they don't come back for you. Ivy jumped in the shower. I need to get better shampoo for my dyed and dried hair on the list, as well as more towels and organic soap. Next trip to the store. After her shower, she opened a drawer and said aloud, What shall I wear today, Judy? The black t-shirt and the black loose tee, or the loose black tee and the black yoga pants? Nah, too sweaty. The tight black tee and boyfriend jeans with holes in the knees? It is. She had just enough time before she was scheduled to work with Xander to drink a cup of cacao with almond milk cream on the deck. She made a perfect cream heart in the cup and sprinkled it with tiny bits of cinnamon. Ivy had fallen into old patterns, amateur yoga, delicate cacao, and paper and pencil for a grocery list. She sat on the deck in an Adirondack and spent a few more minutes quietly with the morning light, which colored the sky and the clouds salmon, pink, and robin's egg blue. Judy dozed at her feet. This can't be real. It is too beautiful. Too Cinderella. She wrestled with her thoughts. But what if it is real? I mean, what if I find more happiness than when I first met Bad Boy Ian Blackstone? Just the thought of him made her hair stand up on the back of her neck. She pushed him out of her mind, replacing thoughts of him with visions of fresh peach pie. She added plant-based eggs to her grocery list, along with fresh peaches and real butter to balance out her diet. She added all of the ingredients for a chef's salad. She sipped and watched a bald eagle and its mate circling on the wind. Look at them, uncomplicated love, free to fly or nest. The female dove towards the water, skimming along the surface, and shot up, holding a large fish in its talons. Ivy picked Judy up. We better watch out or you'll become baby eagle food. Knock, knock, yoo-hoo, Veronica called. She waved and grinned, bounding up Ivy's deck steps with a messy bun, eerily like the one in Ivy's hair. She was wearing similar black Northwest fleece. Xander told me your work in the library is wonderful. You'll be finished in no time at all. I guess you'll be done working with Xander before you know it. One of Ivy's brows rose. I'll be sad when the work ends. I love working with him in the library and caring for his books. Well, Debbie and I want to say hello before the day gets going. You met Debbie at the book club, remember? She turned and looked surprised to find that Debbie wasn't behind her. She leaned over the rail and waved and called Debbie. Debbie, come on up. Veronica's shrill voice made Ivy jump. Debbie trudged up the stairs and waved weakly at Ivy. She was probably Veronica's age, but looked tired and, unlike Veronica, free of makeup or jewelry. She didn't say a word because, well, Veronica was saying all the words. Ivy smiled at Debbie, who smiled weakly but looked down at her feet, holding her arms straight at the side of her gray baggy t-shirt and jeans. Deb is the best. We've been friends forever. Debbie Davis, Roger, me, and Deb and Jack and her husband all went to Balefire High School together. Deb and I were in the choir. You should hear us sing. You'd love it. Ivy's mind went full tilt. Veronica's entire gang was in the same class at Balefire as Bonnie. Hi, Debbie. We met at the book club on the first day I was in town. I am so sorry to hear about your group's friend, Bonnie. I hope you didn't see it happen. I can't imagine how awful that would be for you. Ivy knew she was baiting Debbie. Deb's face completely collapsed. She didn't move. She stared straight ahead, but her look of grief and tears pooling in her eyes betrayed her. Yeah, it was awful, Debbie said softly. Veronica put her arm around Debbie's shoulder and shook her head at Ivy. Her smile slipped for just a moment. She put a finger over her mouth to shush Ivy. Ivy grimaced and mouthed, "Sorry." Veronica tilted her head. "Well, this'll be fun. We'll all be together this weekend, Deb. Let's not think about all that. It's old news, and Miss Ivy, you're going to be with us working for Xander. Let's try to keep the weekend light and fun for the kids, especially my precious." She used her arm to guide frozen Debbie down the stairs and into the trees by the cabin. Ivy let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Head spinning, she hiccuped. Her blood rushed in her ears. She put a hand to her cheek to see if it was warm. "Judy, am I a ruddy shade of rising red? Ouch, she's right. I need to let this go for the weekend." Hiccup. Ivy realized Judy was licking her arm and smiled. "You make everything better." She held the tiny ball of beautiful fur and let her lick her salty face. "Now, Judy, we can't be having fun. I've been bad. I let my inner researcher out. You know, the one that drives everyone crazy." Judy looked into Ivy's eyes before she barked. "Oh, dear." I bet Veronica went straight to Xander. A knot in her stomach tightened. "Judy, when will I ever learn to boss my own brain and stop my runaway mouth? I'd better apologize to Veronica and Deb. Come on, girl." Ivy scooped up Judy and tried to catch up with Veronica and Debbie. Xander had told her they would be decorating the gathering place today for the sanctuary's first event. She took the trail to the gathering place, carrying Judy. She was only halfway there when she heard someone crying, and words that were garbled and mixed with groans or pain. She stopped. Judy's head went up, and she wriggled like she wanted down. "No, Judy," she whispered, holding her firmly in her arms. She left the main trail and tried to keep every step silent. Maybe it's Debbie, and she's still crying. She heard a second voice. "Veronica?" She caught a glimpse of Veronica's black coat. She had her back to Ivy. Watching silently, Ivy tried to keep one tree between her and Veronica's line of sight, using Debbie's tearful words to track them as they walked towards the gathering place. Veronica's voice had lost all of its syrupy sweetness. "You need to buck up, Buttercup, or lose Jack forever. This is the only way you win him back. And you get his attention. Let's pull ourselves together. You knew this was going to be hard. We talked and talked. And why, for heaven's sakes, did you wear that gray shirt? It washes you out." Not wanting to interrupt, Ivy stroked Judy and stayed out of sight. Debbie sniffed loudly. "Yeah, but I never..." More sobs. "I can't eat. I just can't. I just keep it together, Debbie." Veronica cut her off by putting her finger over Deb's lips. "Shush. Don't dwell on it. Get it together, Debbie. Get it together. Anyone could have fallen off that cliff. We need to support Xander. It's not his fault. No one is going to take him away from us. I mean, Balefire." Ivy was asking about something that isn't her business. A jolt ran through Ivy's heart to her extremities. Her mouth fell open, but she didn't move. It was like watching a train wreck. You know it's going to hurt, but you just can't look away. Debbie's chest heaved as she took in jagged breaths that came after a long, hard cry. She blew her nose on her sleeve. Her face and neck were bright red and mottled. She nodded with her eyes closed and shuddering. Veronica pointed at Debbie. "Okay. Don't forget the bathrooms. I'm going to go say hello to Xander." Veronica pointed at Debbie. "Okay?" Fists clenched, lips pressed firmly, Veronica turned towards Ivy, who ducked behind a tree holding her breath. Veronica marched past, so caught up in the moment she didn't see Ivy slide behind a tall pine tree. When she was sure Veronica was far enough away, she exhaled hard, and Judy whined in Veronica's direction. "Quiet, girl." She stood listening for a minute but didn't hear anything. A nearby woodpecker startled her. Even the birds are quiet when she talks, Judy. "Come on, Judy, let's go get your breakfast and see if we need to apologize and do some Veronica damage control." When Ivy opened the Knightley House kitchen door, Anderson met her and put a finger on his own mouth and pointed to the door to the hallway. She put Judy down, who ran to her homemade doggy breakfast and lapped up her water. Ivy tiptoed across the kitchen to Anderson's side. He was always army ready. She liked his energy. If she could have read auras, she would bet his aura was true blue. They stood at the door, listening. Xander and Veronica were standing on the other side of the door, just a few feet away. He looked at her, brows raised, and mouthed the words, "What did you do?" Her face mirrored his dismayed look. She shook her head and shrugged. She mouthed, "I was awful," and pointed to the door. "My fault," she whispered, and pointed at herself. He closed his eyes and nodded. The voices got closer to the door. Ivy went to the refrigerator, whipped the door open, and put her head inside. Xander came into the kitchen with Veronica on his heels. She peeked out to see Anderson's head down, running a loud mixer, and to see Veronica and Xander still standing by the open kitchen door. Veronica gestured wildly with her hands. "This weekend will only work if we can just forget this nonsense about Bonnie and accept the poor girl was deranged in high school and probably tossed herself off. There's no need to beat a dead horse and upset Debbie." Facing straight ahead without missing a beat, Veronica marched towards the back door. After passing the refrigerator, Veronica said, "Good day, Ivy Anderson." The back door slammed, and Ivy slowly closed the refrigerator door and leaned her head against the cold stainless steel, waiting to be fired for upsetting Xander's friend. "I'm sorry. We shouldn't laugh," Xander said. He laughed harder. "Seriously, Veronica has a right to protect Debbie for 2 reasons. They grew up together, and Veronica's daughter Precious and John have played together since birth. Veronica and Debbie are more alike than you might think. Trust me. I take their drama with a grain of salt." "I hate drama," Ivy said softly. Suddenly, Ivy was back in Massachusetts, trapped in a deadly dance. Her mother would stop by and ask how she was doing. After a few months, Ivy's answer was always the same: "Fine." Everyone had their opinion of her, and yet not a single person knew what she was experiencing behind closed doors. "I want to get to know Veronica, so this weekend I'll do my best to work happily with her and Debbie," Ivy said. "Is there anything else I should know?" He looked her straight in the eyes. "I have to say, whatever she does, it's done to perfection. It's always well thought out, planned down to the smallest detail. She and Roger came to welcome me to town while I was still living in the lookout and building my home. They've been here for me ever since that day. They both love their daughter, Precious. They've spoiled her rotten, but she is brilliant and kind. I've seen their kids in and around the bakery and bookstore, but we haven't talked. Precious is a great kid. She's a senior in high school. She likes to write. So does Debbie and Jack's boy, John. I want to support them as much as they will let me," Xander said. Hi, I'm Shannon Symonds, the author, and I am reading this aloud to find errors, like I said at the beginning of the video. And I'm really glad I am. I think I found 11 in this one. I'm pretty hard on myself, but it's hard to see all your own errors unless you say all of the words out loud and look at it differently. So just something about yoga. I don't want you to think that I'm out on the beach doing yoga regularly, because that is not going to happen. When my daughter was in high school, I wanted to find something that we could do together. And so my friend took yoga classes with her daughter. And so I just thought I'd just run down there and we just take yoga, because I'm in good shape. I run, I do all these things. And so I took my young and graceful daughter with me, and I was like up at front because she wanted to be right up front. And I am not limber. I don't bend. I think I'm all right angles. And my poor daughter is falling all over the floor. But we just kept going because she wanted to go, and that's what moms do for their daughters. Then I remember some while later, I had kayaks. I really like kayaks. We went to the river and up in Nehalem, and we were going to kayak on the river. And we went to the dock. There was quite a current, and we put the boats in like on the wrong side, and just because we were amateurs. And I fell out of my boat. Yep, I did. That's how graceful I am. And then I went to climb up the dock. Well, the dock is like 1.5 feet above the river, and the current's going, and it's dragging me under the dock. And I'm thinking I'm not going under there because it's really icky. And so I'm pulling myself around this dock with the current, and my husband's following me around with this panic look in his face, my ex-husband. And probably this is one of the reasons he's an ex. And so we get to the other side, and he literally has to just haul me up. And my big backside is coming up, and I'm on my hands, and he's crawling onto the deck thinking, oh, I'm glad I didn't die. And please tell me we didn't lose the boat, which we didn't. That was good. And then I turned around, and on the lawn by the dock was this entire wedding reception. And I think there was like 100 people looking at my backside. Yep, no lie. That same day, we finally got back in the water to get away from the wedding as soon as possible. But that same day, we came back around, and paddleboarding was kind of new, right? And there's these two girls and this guy, and the two girls are doing yoga on their paddleboards. Not kidding you. Standing on their heads, sideways, up and down, graceful. Meanwhile, I have a life jacket, and I'm just happy that my butt is still in the boat. So, excuse me, I shouldn't say the word bum. So, I like writing about yoga like I could actually do it, but it's hard for me to write about anybody that does it well because I don't understand that. I don't have that experience. And hats off to everybody who's good at yoga. I have seen yoga classes down on the beach. The other day, I saw this whole line of people at the surf, and I thought, what is that? And then they started to move in unison, and I thought, maybe it's a cult going in for a baptism, or maybe it's a church, and I shouldn't be so judgmental. And then I thought, maybe it's a mass suicide like Jonestown, and I got closer and closer and realized, I think it's Tai Chi that they were doing, and they were all in their robes, right, in the surf, like in the surf. It was really beautiful. It was really beautiful. Had I been doing it, not so beautiful. So I hope you enjoy this story, and please tell me through the comments if you don't, or what you like, or what you do like, or what how you feel about it, and subscribe so we can keep going, and thanks for listening.